Tell GES, and why Carnation is drowning in floods. I'll tell you a bit more about this, but if you have the Daily Graphic, or if you haven't gotten it yet, please read it, page 16. And Zoomlion is preferring some solutions. I'll tell you a bit more about it before we wrap up. National Science and Maths Quiz 21. Who lifts the trophy? The finale is today. Going to be an interesting one. Keta SHS, we have Prempeh College, and we have Presec, the reigning champions, and they are hoping to lift the trophy for the 7th time. Let's see if that's going to be possible. A lot of people are banking their hopes on Keta SHS, especially because of Francisca, the young lady who help them to make it into the finale. So let's keep our fingers crossed and see how it goes. But 2022 budget, Prophet Solutions, NUGS, TUC, state positions. And there's some misunderstanding, within NUGS, especially because recently they came out and said they support the 1.75 levy. And now they've come out to say that, well, it was the president's position and that was not approved by the other members. In fact, GRASAC has also, stated that it is not for the position that NUGS has taken. Let's move on now to the Daily Guide, and it says Health Minister laments vaccine politics, and he says he's lost his image as a result of the back and forth over the Sputnik V controversy. 2022 budget game changer for education, according to the Minister for Education, Dr. Yao Seduchum. 620 million Ghana cedis trial. Atuasian claims sleep disorder, escapes arrest. 9 killed in mining pit in Western region. Very heartbreaking story. The Daily Statesman. John Boydu NPP manages Ghana's debt better than the NDC, and he's incurred the wrath of the minority. They're asking him to apologize to the speaker, because he made some statements that were in contempt of Parliament. And he says that even though he agrees that the roads minister should not have ordered the immediate cessation of road tolls collection, why was the speaker not there to collect it? But he said, Sebi. But Governor Sagboja says that that is total disrespect to the speaker and he must apologize. 2022 budget is pro-youth. NYA boards NUGS urge MPs to approve it. And Akufo-Addo lauded for strong leadership in COVID fights. Chief escapes alleged beheading plot by irate youth. Ghanaian Times says over 100 illegal structures go down at Ablekuma West Assembly as they take steps to protect the lagoon. And a lot of heartbreaking stories, but they had been alerted apparently for a while now to vacate the premises. Professor Tuguba to push Parliament to pass anti-adultery bill into law. 4 former African presidents to attend Security Forum in Accra next month. And 2022 budget to put Ghana on sustainable development job creation path, according to Honorable Abu Jinapo, the Lands Minister. And finally, the Finder. Receivers should bear cost of e-levy, PwC Ghana. Government supports for agribusiness inadequate, and iconic tourist sites being revamped to generate significant revenue annually from 2022. I have the PRO for the YEA, and he's here with us, Awal Mohammed. Good morning to you. How are you doing?
Good morning.
Everything okay?
Yes, I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah. All right. We also have Dr. Clement Apak, and he's a deputy ranking member of the Education Committee in Parliament, and he's the MP for Busa South as well. Good morning.
Soliwa.
Solunawa.
Kubasa.
Kubasa. I always forget.
I should have known.
I should have known.
It is a given.
I mean, it's always good when
I'm called MPTV3.
Yes.
So I have a responsibility of making sure that my culture and my language is present at the TV station that I've been named after. So my constituents expect that anytime I come here,
you teach me. But you need to teach me something. So maybe the next time you should teach me something.
But I've extended it to Parliament now. Yesterday I spoke bully. We debated education yesterday, and of course, as deputy ranking, I made a few comments, and I use my language on the floor to emphasize the expectations of my people, and as far as this budget is concerned.
Yes. We'll come to the issue of this budget shortly, because I know that today is when Parliament is going to vote, whether in favor of or in rejection of the 2022 budget that was presented by the finance minister. We'll come to that, but let's go to Boku. There's been some unrest in Boku, and my two guests here all hail from that area, and so it's necessary that we touch on this particular issue. We've put a story together on it. It played on News 360 yesterday, but we'll go back to it. 2 days ago, a curfew was imposed by the Minister of Interior It was a 14-hour curfew in the Bawku Municipal District in the Upper East region after some disturbances were recorded. Let's go and take a look at the impact of the curfew on the lives of many people who complained that they had no idea there was a curfew. They had prepared their meals, were ready to go sell, and then all of a sudden this happened. Some are saying that it's going to affect education because they've made progress, in the educational system, and now it looks like they'll have to go back a number of years. Let's quickly take a look at it.
The intelligence, actually, they enter into the town and saw so many things is going to happen. That's why they asked it to go in on curfew. But the curfew, actually, we are welcoming it because it's for our own sake. For us to lose one life is very, very important. So we shouldn't lose even a fowl. But actually, for 4 o'clock, someone come to market to do 1 or 2 things and go back to the village. Therefore, it's too harsh to us. So we are appealing to the government, please, 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 Minister, come to our aid. Give us at least 6 o'clock so that by 5:30, we are all running back to our homes. We know you are for our safety. We are welcoming that, but the 4 o'clock is too harsh place. We are appealing to the government.
I'm a teacher. The curfew that was imposed yesterday has affected us seriously because I can't go to school and teach. As of now, the inner schools are closed down because of fear. So instead of me to be in school impacting knowledge, I am now in the house. You can't move to areas that you think you can go and do business because 4 o'clock you are supposed to be in the house till the next day. It's not easy. So if they can do something about that, like they shifted to 6 o'clock, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. It will be of help to us.
We've seen how the military men beat some of us back then in curfew. So when it just happened, we had to just run. And we've left some of our things. Some left their livestock outside. Goats and sheep were all, and it could have affected their business. So all what we are pleading on the authorities is to at least bring the time back for at least to 6 to 6. Yes, it would be better for us. That is what we are pleading on the authorities.
Our children with their animals out to graze, they have to rush and run and come back home. And as we speak now, lots of these animals haven't returned. And so we are just pleading that if in the near future something like this could be done, give the people prior notice before it is implemented. But on that short notice, it has made us lose a lot. And we are just pleading with authorities that we know is for the betterment of the municipality and the people within. But all we are asking is that they should try as much as possible to help the vulnerable.
Those were sights and sounds from Bawku. In fact, the Upper East Regional Security Council also banned the wearing of smokes in the municipality. And they said that, it was supposed to control criminals or unscrupulous elements who hide arms and ammunition and attack opponents or innocent civilians. So that is why they banned it. I'll come to you first, Dr. Clement Apaak, to tell me. I mean, well, this is quite worrying.
Yeah, first of all, let me say good morning to you and Awal Mohammed, and to greet my constituents. Just a quick one. Today is the day that a new chief is going to be enskinned for my own ancestral village of Dorninga.
Okay.
Bulsa South, we had lost 3 chiefs in the last 3 years. Successfully enskinned the chief for Fumbisi. Today is the enskinment for Dorninga, and another community in my constituency, Bachongsa, would follow. Fumbisi went well. I know that Dorninga would go well today too, and I anticipate that Bachongsa too would go well. So I continue to urge all the competing gates to know that we are all one. Whoever is selected through our very democratic traditional process of voting by household to select the chief, we should all accept and then move on. Coming to the video we just saw, the information that is coming up from Bawku, a very important old industrious town in our region, is worrying. As a son of the region and a colleague to the Member of Parliament, and somebody who has gone to Bawku several times, who has relatives there even today, I must say that this reoccurring instability is worrisome. And so we must continue to urge calm, to find ways to de-escalate the very tense situation. And I think that the robust presence of the security ought to be commended. But some of us feel that we need more numbers to saturate the place so as not to give room to any other opportunist to engage in any disruptive conduct. Because you see, when these things occur, it becomes you do me, I do you, quote unquote. Once the first initial provocation takes place and there is a response, the issue then becomes, where does it stop?
Exactly.
Because there's always a temptation to want to seek revenge. And that is why I think it is important that Bawku is saturated with security personnel, so that very quickly the situation can be brought under control. It is admirable what we are seeing, but some of us feel that given the history and what we know, if we are going to go in, let's go in a way that would, if you like, kill the fire that has been ignited, regardless of whatever the underlying factors may be. Now is to make sure that matters are under control. Then we can move to the next stage of looking at perhaps the triggers, the provocations, how this recent, disturbances begin, and then see how we can work with stakeholders. Of course, I expect Peace Council and, even the National House of Chiefs and, if you like, influential citizens from the region. As a member of parliament from the Upper East, I can tell you that our caucus is very worried. We have not been ourselves since the news broke, for good reason. Because, Bawku is a very unique, district. I mean, now it's a municipality. And even just the economic implications of this disturbance alone, it impacts the entire region. It's not just about, of course, safety and security and lives are important. They ought to be protected. But the economy, as you heard, it's even affecting education. So that's why we've always said that, look, in all of this, the effort to progress, the effort to achieve how we can actualize our dreams and our aspirations, all of these things are predicated on a peaceful society. Because without peace, none of that can happen.
That's true.
We can build the best hospitals in Bawku, and we know they have some of the best hospitals, referral hospital. We can't access them when there is no peace. We can have all the best schools, and we know they have good schools there. They will be of no consequence if there is no peace. Traders can't even trade. Business people who go to Bawku and come to Accra and go to Bolga, they cannot function.
But they are not happy with the curfew time.
Yes, I wanted to touch on that.
What do you think of it?
It's not that they are not happy. You see that they all commended and are appreciative. It is the range. The 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. They are arguing that if it were to be moved from 6 to 4, from 6 to 4 to 6 to 6, then at least that can give them some small room because of the nature of our society, our sources of livelihood. You heard them speaking about livestock. And the livestock, the animals, they play a very important role. They are like our unofficial banks moving on hooves. So it's very important to them. And
so you are okay with the curfew?
The curfew is fine, but I also think I agree with them that, it's been a few days, and if we can saturate, as I'm saying, with more security personnel, there should be possible to do 6 to 6. In which case, because those who are fomenting the trouble are a few. But the way it is that everybody else has to suffer and bear the brunt and the consequence. So, as I've suggested, if the Minister for Interior and the Minister for Defense and the Regional Security Council would pay heed, they should consider. I don't think the request is unreasonable. They have welcomed the curfew, but the 6 to 4 is also challenging them in terms of a proper way of also making sure that they respect the curfew, but it doesn't unduly affect their livelihood.
Okay.
And I think there can be a balance.
Okay.
But let me finish on this note. That as a caucus, we are holding a meeting on this same matter.
All right.
Because the people of the region have selected us to represent them. Yeah. And so when there is this type of, occurrence, we ought to also play our role. And we are doing a lot of work in the background.
Okay.
But we have to meet formally to also see what more we can do. But we can be calling on Peace Council, national security, and yet be sitting aloof when indeed this is in our backyard.
Would you be visiting the area soon?
Well, we will make all those decisions at the meeting. But the MP has been very, very active. And I think after today's, proceedings on the budget, I think over the weekend, I expect that he would definitely be home.
Well, let me bring you in, because education has been hit by the curfew and all the disturbances. I mean, you heard the teacher say that for them, this is like a retrogression. Many years of making progress in education, now they have to go back a number of years, and it's very worrying. What's your general overview of what's happening?
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. And I think it's true that when it's disheartening when you see at a point in time you would be asked to go and sleep between some hours, between 6 and 4. And I am sure that this video was done 3 days ago.
Yes.
So yesterday, I learned that the security on the grounds even moved it to 1 p.m., not 4. Yes, because between 1 and 3, there were gunshots at the outskirts of Boku. So the security on the ground had to also move it back. This is something that has been reoccurring for a long time. Yeah. This is a colonial legacy, if you check the history. And I remember there was a committee as far as 1978, the Alassane Committee, to look into the disturbances and so on. There are a lot of committees. But the recent one, it comes as a shock to some of us, because if you check, the last time is around 2014 or so. But after that, for the first time, when the president went to Boku for the visit, he went to both gates. And it doesn't happen like that. When you go, sometimes you risk not go here for them to say that you are with this people or that people. But he went to both gates, and they all accepted him. So some of us were surprised that this thing will happen at this point in time when we know Boku is making progress. When you check, even the time that the regional capital was to be situated, if not for where Boku is, because it's at the tail end of the region, I am sure that that place will have been the regional capital. Because even today, when you go to Upper East region, Boku has more economic activity than even Bolga. But a lot of people don't want to go and even invest there. Because you invest there, and someone will go and burn your property and so on. So if you check, all the 6 constituencies within Boku came out of Boku. All the 6 constituencies. That is to tell you that Boku is great, is big, it's a municipality, and if there's even a place that you give a metropolitan status, it will be Boku. So I will only call on the Peace Council and even the president to step in, and let's see what happened in Dagon. Let's get a lasting solution to it. If we can get eminent chiefs to sit down and look at how best we'll be able to have a lasting solution so that this thing will not reoccur. This is about chieftaincy, and it's about who becomes the overlord of Boku. So if we do something just like Dagon, in Dagon now Abudus are on, and Danis are on, Abudus will take over later. We can do something like this so that at least we nip this in the bud. It will not happen again, because if it keeps on reoccurring, when you saturate the place with military, a lot of people will not even feel safe. I was even trying to say that let's have even a military camp within Boku. But when you have a military camp within Boku, the people there will not also feel free to even move about, because you see a military officer anytime you move, and that will not also help you. So I believe that there should be a lasting solution. The 3 eminent chiefs that sat down to do the Dagon are still alive. The Otunfo, the Nairi, and the overlord of the Savannah, they are still alive. They can still step in and look at how best we'll be able to have a lasting solution to this. I think that will help us, or else it will still reoccur. We'll all talk about it, And in the next 10 years, it will still reoccur and we'll talk about it.
Definitely. Now, so this curfew, as at 6 a.m. this morning, it had been lifted, right? Because you said it was from 1 p.m. yesterday.
No. I'm saying that it has not been lifted. I'm saying that it was even reviewed from 4 to 1. Yes.
So the point is.
So that's what I'm asking. That
yes. Even
1 to 6 a.m.
The 6 to 4.
Yes.
The hours have now even been further reduced.
Exactly.
So it's now 6 to 1.
At a point in time, I remember Boku was even 24 hours curfew.
And you are from Boku?
Yes, I'm from Boku. Yes. Just recently, my mom even went there because my grandfather, who is the chief imam, died. Sheikh Muntala Imam, just about 3 weeks ago. And a new chief imam has been installed. Yes.
Okay.
So, yes, I think the lasting solution will help us all so that at least we can go back and even invest, because investors want to go there.
Exactly.
But they don't want to go there because I was speaking to someone who told me he wanted to go and set up a gas station there. He said now he doesn't know whether he can go there and do it, because even this thing happens in the outskirts, not in the middle of Boku. The shootings start from the outskirts. So somebody who is going to set up a gas plant in the outskirts of Boku, because you cannot do it in the middle, and there will be bullets flying on the heads of those who are attend. I don't think it will help
the ban on wearing of smock. I mean, you are wearing your smocks beautifully this morning. And I'm sure someone in Boku is watching and saying, I'm not going to get this chance for quite a while. Is it not worrying?
Yeah, it's worrying. If you check, almost everyone there wears smocks.
Yeah.
If you go to the north, you've been to the north, you see that almost everyone, that is what we wear. Even you see carpenter wearing smock and so on. So it's worrying. But you see, unfortunately, look at my smock. I can put anything inside. There will be ammunitions and so on, these shotguns and so on. So in order to prevent people from using shotguns in it, and again, we are wearing 1-1.
Yeah.
But Honorable Clement, when he goes back to his people and he's to go for the escapement of the chief, he wear about 3 or 4.
In the heat?
Yes. But you know,
we because it is.
You wear about 3 or 4 at once.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's our culture, it's our
that's the culture.
Wow.
You don't even know that
we are used to
it will be hot.
Yeah, but when ceremonially, you need to bulk up a bit.
Exactly.
So you need to pile up 2 or 3 smokes. And that is where there's a possibility of hiding
things
and
underneath.
weapons. Yeah, I mean, you could hide a number
because
of
now,
knives
as I
and other
said,
things.
if there is something, you see it. If there is something, you see it. But if you have
like
2 or 3,
up,
the person will be able to hide it, and you will be walking and you not see the bar of the gun. So that's the reason. But it's unfortunate. But unfortunately, they will have to grin and bear for some time.
Quickly before we move on to our next conversation, I mean, I'd want you to speak to your people in the language that they understand.
Yes.
Send them a message, because we need peace in Boku, and at this point we cannot afford any form of disturbances. What would you say to them?
Yes, you see, predominantly the people in Boku speak both Kusal and Mampurli. Yes,
okay.
that's a language, but almost everyone understands Hausa.
Okay.
So I think I should speak in Hausa. That will help us. Yankuri enwana mutanin Boku kwe hakuri wanga abin ya hapku shekaru dewa.
Yeah.
Shekaru dewa ya hapku amma muna ga an samu wani abin da ya kamata a yi a doke a taimaka da kowa. Shi sa ku yi hakuri batun sarauta kowa ya iya ci sarauta, amma ka zama dan sarki da ka zama dan abin ga sunan shi dan sarki ya fi zaman lafiya ya fi zama dan sarki. Shi sa mu duka mu san wani hanyar da zamu bi mu zauna lafiya ya taimaka muna ya fi wanda ke ce wanga ya zama sarki wanga ya zama sarki.
All right, thank you. I was waiting for when you stop. I didn't realize you had stopped at that point. Doc, you also speak to your people.
Yes, I did
send them
earlier.
A message. Okay.
But you know, we, as I said earlier, we are skinning today. So, mama mpuzike bulku mena bulku yeninka le tukoma. Ma pole kwa channel yene kuma jilana na oma kuma te ya tare simisana palak te mena aye azonga. Ma pole jila ambale ye donan name. So donan de mamina ale tine kwengu ale buku yeninka bulku nalmunga mena zana nga timena puskma aku da chen song di titi yesimisana wala jila kumanchen la no to ye donan na ati danong da pame ti yere bachong sana ale timena ka nuru yangsa timena ka kobisa ale mabisa meta shaka kuma anwa wa kan jamo kun yesu yone ati de bole chap benli che nwe kala they can just chaba manyenergy.
Yeah. What do I? Tor.
Yeah, Tor is good.
Tor seals it. I know, it seals it.
Anyway, language you say Tor.
All right. Let's move on now to our next conversation. And today, officially, Parliament will be voting whether for or against the 2022 budget that was presented by the Finance Minister last Wednesday. And we've had time to debate it. I mean, minority has been very vocal about, especially the 1.5% levy, e-levy that was introduced by the Finance Minister. The minority leader has been very vocal about it. He says minority caucus in Parliament has vowed to kick against the government's proposal for a 1.75% tax on all electronic financial transactions. We've also heard from Honorable Kesel Atuforsen, and he's also been speaking on this 1.5% levy, and he says that it will impose hardships on Ghanaians, and so we will not agree. I'll come to you, Doc, and I'll start with you, because Ghanaians have been worried about the fact that when it comes to issues in Parliament, minority comes out and says, we will not agree. In fact, we do not approve of A, B, C, and D. But before you realize it, there's a vote, and they've approved this same policy or person that they initially said they will not approve. And case study, of course, we saw what happened with ministers that the minority had said they were going to reject. Information Minister, Fisheries Minister, and the Agric Minister. Then there was a turnaround. I remember you spoke about it because you said that the minority had become a laughingstock at the time when they approved. What's the guarantee? Can Ghanaians trust that minority will stand with Ghanaians?
Let me say that, like many Ghanaians, we are still working our way out of that incident. Because Ghanaians had every reason to be disappointed with the outcome of that process. Because having given us the numbers that they did, and given that we were vetting people who had served in a government from a party that had been given the opportunity to reign the country by whatever means. I mean, we don't want to debate that means, but it has happened. Ghanaians wanted to see us hold those that were being proposed to account for their deeds in the previous years before they got renominated. Indeed, we had also made public pronouncements regarding how we were going to conduct ourselves. It didn't work out that way. But we ought to put it in context that though it didn't go exactly the way Ghanaians wanted it to go, we didn't have the power to prevent the president from nominating those he nominated. So whether we had passed them or not, it would still have been the president who would still nominate persons for us to consider.
Yeah.
But we have moved on. And now, as you have said eloquently, many Ghanaians see this as a test for us to redeem ourselves, to live up to what we say, or for them to firm their opinion about us, that we talk the talk, but we lack the courage to walk the walk. And so within that context, I can assure you and Ghanaians that the statement made by our leader, the Honorable Aruna Idrisu, on the day that the budget was presented, which many of us have repeated, myself included, even yesterday, when we were debating education, is what is going to take effect today. We in the minority, having scrutinized the budget, having looked at the history of the Akufo-Addo Bawumia-led government, having assessed the way they have used resources, having looked at the fact that they are failing to look at alternative ways of raising resources that would not encumber the vulnerable, that would not be retrogressive. We are very certain that all 137 of us would vote against the approval of this budget, because we don't believe that the budget gives hope. And we don't believe that that e-levy is the way to go.
But they have said that they're excluding the poor. And so if
how
you're
do you
sending
exclude
money,
the poor?
Well, if you're sending money that's less than 100 Ghana cedis, then you will not be taxed.
That's less than 100 Ghana cedis?
Well, that's what we've been told, yes.
Well, we know that many people send money more than 100 Ghana cedis.
Yes.
Well, the communications minister says that you are not poor if you can send money more than 100 Ghana cedis.
Voilà. and these are some of the arrogant pronouncements. You see,
is that arrogance?
It is.
How is it arrogance? I mean, she's saying that
it is an arrogant pronouncement.
If you can send more than 100 Ghana cedis a day, you are not poor.
What is the definition of poverty? What is the threshold?
There is a threshold.
What do you define as?
According to UN, people who cannot live below $1 a day, the person is poor.
Who cannot live above, you mean?
Yes,
okay.
Yes,
so
above $1 a day.
Below $1,
yes,
you are.
That's the definition of poor people by the UN.
But $1 is just what, 6 cedis?
6 cedis, yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's against 100 Ghana cedis.
Exactly. So if you check, okay, well.
So let's talk.
Okay. So people who are poor cannot even afford the 100 cedis. So somebody has to remit them, and we do. As I said, just within the week, I've remitted people in my constituency, several of them, and they are poor. So whilst I'm remitting the poor person, you are charging and taking money that I am giving to the poor person. Are you not encumbering the poor person? Somebody comes to me, I need help to go to the hospital. I need 100 Ghana cedis, which happens all the time. I need 200 Ghana cedis to take my ward to Tamale for a specialist investigation due to some health conditions. I remit, and then you tax that. I mean, how can that be something that favors the poor?
Well, the Deputy Finance Minister, Abinoso Asare, she says that government is not oblivious to the sufferings of Ghanaians. And so, I mean, that definitely going to be some ways to manage this e-levy, introduction of e-levy. She says, I believe that some form of a position will be taken by government.
Our position,
is that not at least
position is
an
clear.
effort by government?
Look, we are certain, we are clear in our minds, nothing is going to change our position.
Not even if it's reduced to 0.5%?
If Jesus Christ were to come today, Dr. Park, I am telling you, if the Lord, Jesus Christ, came today, we will still vote against this budget.
Is it the fact that it's 1.75? If they reduce it to, let's say, 0.5%, will that be okay for the minority?
It is not needed. This is not the best way. They told us that they were going to move this country from production, from taxation to production. What has happened to that? All of the mouth-watering promises that they made to us, if they had implemented them, the way we voted monies for them to implement them, we wouldn't be here. This government has enjoyed the most revenue from our oil finds. This government received colossal amounts of money to fight COVID. If I'm even going to use the educational sector as an example, I pose a question to the Minister for Finance. When government was, coming up with the idea of floating what they called a green bond to raise some $1 billion. And Bloomberg had published an article where a minister of finance, a minister at the office in the area of finance, Edu Boahen.
Yes, Minister of State.
Yes, Minister of State. How do you,
at the finance ministry.
Yes.
had granted the interview where he had suggested that part of the bond will be used to finance government flagship projects, including loans taken to support the implementation of the free senior school policy. So on the basis of that, I even wrote an article, and I filed a question to the Minister of Finance, asking whether government had ever taken a loan or plans to take a loan to finance the free senior school policy. When the Minister for Finance came to Parliament, his response was that, no, we use our own Ghanaian, GOG, ABFA funds for the implementation. And that cumulatively, government had spent 7.62 billion on the implementation of the program. Now, the same minister had come to Parliament to present the 2020 media review budget, and had asked and had put in the document that government had spent 3.2 billion in the implementation cumulatively. So then I asked, how come that within the span of only 1 year, the total expenditure of Free Senior High School went from 3.2 to 7.62. The minister could not respond. What he said was that the year 2020 was a year where all kinds of expenditures were made.
Because of COVID.
Yeah. Voila, I didn't disagree. But he couldn't tell me exactly how an additional 4 billion was added to the Free Senior High School expenditure and what it was used for. He said he would come back to us with a response. As of yesterday, when we debated, I raised that issue. But that could not be that in just 1 year, we expended 4 billion on the Free Senior High School program, when in fact, in the same mid-year review budget, the minister had indicated that just about 600 million Ghana cedis had been utilized in the preparation of schools for reopening. So what did you do with the 4 billion? You can account for it. And I can give you several examples. Okay. And so that is why we are saying that if you cannot even account for 4 billion in the area of expenditure on the Free Senior High School, why then are you saying that we should justify your decision to raise 6.9 billion from the imposition of a regressive tax?
Because they'll use that for education, for youth employment,
so what has happened to the 4
road
billion?
Infrastructure.
What has happened to the 4 billion? And this is our issue. If you go through the budget 2022, you go through the budget 2021, there are colossal amounts of monies that have been expended that this government has failed to tell us what the monies were used for. So until you tell us what you use those monies for, you are not justified in trying to impose a regressive tax.
Okay.
That we don't think is warranted, that we think is going to be impacting negatively on the progress that we have made in terms of financial inclusivity or bringing everybody to take part in the digital revolution.
Well, what's going to be the step for government if minority goes ahead to reject it? Because now we have equal representation. 137, 137 plus the independents. He's already said that he's on the side of, of the MPP. But and regardless,
we're in the majority.
What happens if this budget is rejected?
I think Parliament has largely been at least a compromise, if I should use that word. It has never been minority against majority, almost all the time. Anything that has been passed in Parliament has one way or the other been the consent of both majority and minority, even though the minority will raise issues and so on. It's good that the minority will raise issues so that they get clarity and so on. When he spoke about the education ministry, since there will be an education minister who will come and explain how much has been expended and what has been expended on. But you even rightly even told him that at least they bought PPEs, they bought buckets, they bought a lot of things which were not anticipated. Again, we're on double track. And the numbers has also increased. But I'm sure this one will be dealt with by the Ministry of Finance and Education so that at least you know how it has been expended. When he said, we have not gone for any loan to finance Free Senior High School, that's true. We use our taxes to do that. But we went and hedged a GET fund to complete almost all the projects that we have in the senior high schools. We have done over 8,000 projects in senior high school so that we'll be able to move away from the double track.
We still haven't moved away from the double track.
Yes, we still haven't, because we still have the numbers ballooning because we don't fail them. Those who complete GSS, we still have the numbers ballooning. We still have the infrastructure going on, and I'm sure we'll be out of the woods soon. Because you remember when we were trying to do the double track, we said we'll do it in the next 3 to 5 years. So in the next 3 to 5 years, we just started 2 years ago, and the infrastructure are increasing. When you go to almost every senior high school across the country, you see that GET Fund is completing almost all the projects over there. Moving back to the budget, I think the NDC has the penchant of trying to always oppose any tax that will come to inure to the benefit of this country.
It's not just the NDC that's opposing the e-levy. Ghanaians are opposing it. Unless you're not listening to the many Ghanaians who are saying that e-levy is going to burden us even further.
Yes, so I'll get there.
Okay.
The NDC in 2007, when President Kufuor introduced the communication service tax, That is the talk tax, the popular talk tax. When you talk, he said 1 peso will go. The NDC opposed it and said they will review it when they win elections. They did not review it. They even increased it. And they even squandered the monies that accrued to that communication service tax.
They squandered it?
Yes, they squandered it because unfortunately, the first CEO who presided over that amount of money was jailed. He was just pardoned just recently by President Akufo-Addo. Because the communication service tax is the money that is used to bankroll YEA. And when they turn it into JIDA, they did not repeal that law. They only accumulated that amount of money and even squandered the money. So this e-levy, it is a game changer.
You also came in and increased the CST at a point. It went to 9.
Exactly.
And then
so.
When Ghanaians spoke against it came to 5.
Exactly.
So you also increased it.
I get it, but
and
I'm saying
that's the concern that if you're taking
that's what
CST,
I'm saying,
why are you introducing e-levy too?
The e-levy is coming to serve a purpose. The e-levy is coming to do, you mentioned the areas, the youth start that we're starting. Again, it is lack of maybe proper understanding of it. Because what Honorable Clement has said here, it means he did not read it thoroughly.
Which part of it exactly
because
did he not read thoroughly?
Yes,
Which part of it?
He says that he has sent a lot of monies to people, the poor and the vulnerable. The payment is on you, not on them. Even if I send 10,000 to my mom today, I will pay. But my mom will withdraw the entire 10,000 without paying a dime.
To withdraw it?
Yes, to withdraw.
But if she also has to send to someone, will she not pay?
Yes, she'll pay.
Exactly.
She'll pay.
So everybody's going to pay at a point.
That's the reason that we're saying that. We are targeting, at least we know some poor people can still send above 100 cedis a day. We know. But majority of those who will send above 100 cedis a day are not in the categories of the poor people. Even though the communications minister says something and her comments were misconstrued. But you see the benchmark of somebody who is poor. Even when you check the Ghana Living Standards Survey, they said close to 9 million people cannot live above 5 cedis a day.
True, but then there's also inward remittances.
The inward remittances, now, if my brother is in France today,
the recipient bears the cost.
Yes, my brother is in France today schooling. If he is to send any amount of money, he will add. Because today, if you're going to send any money to anyone, anywhere in this country, if you're sending 500 cedis today, the thing is not even implemented. But if you're sending 500 cedis today and you want the person to withdraw 500 exactly, you have to add 5 cedis. So that the person will be able to withdraw 500 direct, because there must be charges that the telecos already charge.
Yeah, but now you are compounding it because you are adding more.
Yes, what you see, when you
check,
that
1% already
when you check
exists,
the amount of money last year,
1.
let me give you a scenario. Last year, the mobile money platform, the amount of money that passed through the mobile money transfer, the transaction, is 500 billion. And the banks are doing less than 100 million. And you think that who are those who are doing the transaction? Are the poor people doing that transaction? Everyone is moving onto the mobile money platform. Because it's bringing in the informal sector. Exactly. It is banking the unbanked. That's the whole idea of mobile. Now, if we're introducing 1.75, we're going back to the banks and to a cash society, which is what a lot of people are complaining about. No, we'll not go back to cash society. Let me give you a simple scenario. I bank with GCB. I have the *422 hash. I live at Achimota. When I want to withdraw any amount of money, I just go to Tantra. If the machine is not working, I have to travel, I have to drive to La Paz. Now, I sat down and felt that if I do *422, when I send 100 cedis, they charge me 1 cedi 50 pesos. If I go to the mobile money vendor, they charge me 1 cedi. So it's 2 cedis 50 pesos on every 100 cedis. I will not spend time for 30 minutes or 40 minutes looking around. I will not expend fuel. So definitely it is better. Again, if you check what it will be used for, the U-Start, we are expending 1 billion on the U-Start. We're doing critical infrastructure with 1 billion out of the 6.7 billion. How many times have we fixed our critical infrastructure in this country with our internal generated revenues? We're not able to do that because we don't even have it. Look, our debt, our tax to GDP ratio is 12.2%, which is even way below the African average. The African average is around 16 to 20%. So Ghanaians are not paying taxes. Check the report that came. That says that in Accra, it is only Accra that pay a lot of taxes, and it's 10% of people in Accra that pay direct taxes. Kumasi, look at the economic activity in Kumasi and everything, 3%.
And we could not find any other way to tax these
people.
So
what other ways? Do you have any other way? I was asking an economist, I was surprised when the economists are telling us that expand the tax net. We're expanding the tax net so that at least we're able to accumulate and do critical infrastructure. They are telling us that this is not the right way to do it. Tell us the right way to do it. If there's an alternative way that we can get every Ghanaian to at least be in the tax bracket, tell us.
So that's the question I'm asking, that if the minority rejects it today, what is your next step as government?
When we get there, I'm sure we'll
So you don't even have a plan B? Because the minority has been very vocal about it. They're saying that we are not going to accept
this. This is something that will happen today. You not take an entrenched stance when you are in majority and you are in a slim majority. Do you want us to take an entrenched stance? Ghana will be the sufferer, because if they don't pass it today, we cannot do anything next year.
Are you not getting money from other avenues?
Where?
You say you cannot do anything.
Where? Check.
Bella.
Okay.
You see,
okay, let's not come in.
Our position is very clear. And because our position is organic, it's from the bottom up. Because we are reflecting the opposition that this proposal has elicited. And I'm glad you pointed out that it is not just we in the NDC. There are many others who are not even partisan or political, who also do not think that this is the way to go. I mean, Kofi Kapito obviously is not an NDC. He's probably even aligned to the MPP.
Yes.
He says this is not acceptable. The likes of Ken Ashigbe, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people in industry. I mean, GUTA, Economic Fighters League, tax experts like Dr. Ali Nachia. I mean, so it is not just us. And that should tell you something.
But a lot of them raise issues about the numbers, 1.75.
So there is discomfort. So overall.
Do you intend to at least
there will be
review
it? Yeah, I know.
You know that there will be a review?
I know for sure that there will be a review.
To what percentage?
I don't know. But I know there will be a review. So because there might be a compromise.
So there is a discomfort. I am glad we've settled on that. And it's not just NDC. But you see, when they talk about which should prefer alternatives. The alternatives have always been there. Take a look at the 2020 Auditor General's report. 2020 alone, a whopping 12 billion Ghana cedis was either misappropriated, misapplied, embezzled, and cannot be accounted for. And we are talking about a regime, or a president and a vice who campaigned on protecting the public purse. If you look at the Auditor General's report, and you see how quickly the loss to public resources have risen in the last few years, it tells you that, you know, the campaign talk of protecting the public purse was just nothing but that. Go to our ports. Don't take it from me. GUTA, when government decided to reverse this benchmark arrangement, leadership of GUTA came public. And they itemized and identified how revenue continues to leak at the ports. And if only government was minded and willing to plug those loopholes, the quantum of money that this country would make wouldn't have necessitated a reverse of an earlier decision regarding the benchmark. And I have had the opportunity to work in the government, to work for a president, and I was a spokesperson for the Revenue Mobilization Task Force, Special Operations Unit. And it is true. People are evading taxes, putting goods that they bring in public government bonded warehouses. They take them and sell without paying taxes. Some of them bring the goods, purporting to be exporting them to our landlocked neighboring countries, only to turn around and sell them here, evading taxes. We have what we call misclassification. They may be bringing flat screen TVs, high-end goods, and yet they will misclassify them as low-end goods, used clothing, personal effects, and they get away with that. We even have a situation where a sitting member of the Council of State has been accused of evading taxes, and a citizen has reported that case to the Office of the Special Prosecutor. So what I'm telling you is that there are many, many, many loopholes that revenue is leaking, and this government has shown inertia of dealing with that. I mean, should we talk about the presidential travel and opulence?
Should we talk about ex gratia and all that? Are you willing to forgo all that as well? Because if we're, I mean, let's call a spade a spade. We're spending a lot of money.
Change the law.
Are you willing to forgo that?
These are matters that are within the ambit of the executive arm of government, which is asking us to pay this taxes.
So should we relook at that as well? Because a lot of money is going into all those benefits.
I don't have a problem. All those are options.
Okay.
They should bring a proposal. That is their job. They are to propose. Yeah, and we would decide whether what they have proposed is acceptable or not.
Okay.
In this case, they have tied this entire budget onto the passage of the 1.75. And so it is almost impossible to say that we agree with any aspect of the budget.
Okay.
Because the budget is to be financed by and large by the acceptance of this 1.75. We are saying that we cannot accept this. So by default, we cannot what? Accept the budget. Is that simple?
Well, I mean, the allegations that the president has spent about 3.46 million on his foreign travels alone. And if we were looking at even cutting that cost, would save a lot of money to fix other problems within the economy. We're not doing that. Now we're expecting that the National Security Minister will come in, at least inform Parliament of how much has been spent on the president's foreign travels. And Honorable Brian Acheampong says that that is classified as top secret, and so he's advised that we should not divulge that information. But do we not owe Ghanaians at least that information so they know if really there's so much money being spent on even foreign travels alone when we still have the Falcon that's in good condition and should be able to fly the president around?
I think you are being simplistic about this, because if you check, since 1992, I have never heard, if NDC is in opposition, that's where they think about presidential travels. I have never heard anyone talk about the president traveling and spending this amount of money. We don't look at the cost-benefit analysis. In the numerous travels of the president, he went to the US. He went and had a meeting with Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris did something that is unquantifiable. Kamala Harris said, this is the #2 person in the entire world. She said, Ghana is the safest place to do, to invest. This is something that you can't even quantify it in monetary terms, because Rwanda is going to PSG. Brighton visits Rwanda. They are spending millions of dollars to do that. We had Kamala Harris endorsing Ghana as the safest destination for this thing.
So we should spend?
No, not that. But I'm saying that the president, if there is the need for the president to travel anywhere in this country, he will have to travel and do it. I remember in 2007 and 2008, when the NDC started the same thing that the president has been traveling, Andrew Awuni, as the presidential spokesperson, came to TV3 here, seized all the TV stations, and explained and picked the travels one after the other, and told the people of this country the amount of monies we got, the kind of benefits we got from his travels. The president went to Germany, had a meeting with her, and we had 1.5 million vaccines.
So that should be enough. We shouldn't ask questions about how much is being spent.
You can ask the question,
in this case, when we're saying that we have a presidential jet, you see, it's not as if we don't.
You should also avert your mind to the fact that former President Mahama is entitled to traveling outside this country 3 times in a year, which is financed by the taxpayer. Does he go and sleep in any hotel.
Does he charter luxury?
But he's not supposed to go charter a luxury.
But why are we going for the most luxurious?
I am saying that former President Mahama, by the virtue of the fact that he's a former president, is entitled to traveling 3 times that is borne by the state.
Are we paying 1.75% e-levy so we can pay more for the president's travel?
If you check the expenditure that will be done with the 1.75, there is no way that says that the president will travel with it.
It's just a question.
But you saw it is in the budget.
It's just a question.
The budget did not even say that the 6.9 billion will go to Office of the Government Machinery.
Okay.
There was nowhere.
But what's the guarantee that it will be used to fix road infrastructure for youth employment? That's the question that we're asking.
At least if I have not even seen anything. When you go to my town, Asante Afjasi, it has been tarred entirely. Okay. When you go to Jabin, asphalt. When you even come to Accra here, I live around Achimota. When you look at Achimota, around the petroleum, around New Boy Town, the entire place has been asphalted.
Yeah, you didn't need the 1.75 to asphalt. That's what I'm
we use the taxes. We did not go for loan for the asphalt overlay. I'm saying that we use taxes. I'm telling you that 12.5% is against the GDP, so we'll have to go and borrow.
We have to go.
Oh, very well.
And quickly, this morning, Zoom Lion is asking a few questions concerning flooding in our country. And they're saying that, so where do you put your trash? Where does your trash end up at? And in your area, where do your neighbors or community members' trash go? I mean, does it affect you negatively? These are things that we want you to think about, because in Kaneshie alone, that community is drowning in floods, and it's not even funny at all. And so think about that. Find better ways to, clear your waste so that we'll be able to address the issue of flooding in the country and, the right way of clearing plastic waste. And so that's just some information I want to put out there. We have to go, unfortunately. Gentlemen, thank you so much for speaking to us this morning.
Today is do or die.
We are waiting to see.
Do or die.
We're waiting to see how the minority is going to vote. Awal Mohammed is the PRO for the Youth Employment Agency. And Dr. Clement is the Deputy Ranking Member of the Education Committee in Parliament, and he's also the MP for Busa South. There's more coming up. Thank you, Sheila Bonsu, for my outfit as usual. We'll be back with sports and a lot more. And quick birthday message, by the way, before I wrap up. Coco, just give me a little time. Let me pull it up. So it says, happy birthday to Mirabel Yaira Ajiman, affectionately called Mimi, from your dad and mom, Prophet and Mrs. Ajiman, your big sister, Vanessa, and the entire family. The Lord's Pentecostal Church International Kaswa branch wish you a happy, memorable birthday, age gracefully. And good morning to Vicky. You also tuned in. Thank you so much. We'll be back with a lot more. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello viewers, I'm feeling very frustrated and bored in Sambulai. I'm very happy. If you don't understand, don't worry, because myself, I don't understand. We will cross over to our senior reporter for more details.
You know,